Welcome to the show. This is What's Your Story? You're tuned into KTN Home. My name is Catherine Mwangi. My guest tonight, her name is Nancy Kolomani. She has been through abuse, sexual, domestic, and she is HIV positive. She has 6 beautiful children, and she'll be sharing her story tonight, one of tragedy, one that was sad, depressing, wanted to commit suicide at some point, but she overcame all of that and now is triumphing and here to share her story, which is a powerful testimony. Welcome to the show, Nancy.
Thank you so much.
You look very beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yes. So your story, first of all, is very moving. When you reached out to me on, where was that? Instagram.
Instagram.
Yeah. And then you had a chat with the producer, Millicent, thereafter. And we read your story and you're like, how does one person go through all of that? So very young, went through so much, and you're here to talk about it, you know. So we start with when your mom left. First of all, what led to her leaving the family home?
Okay, my mom at some point just decided to leave,
Yeah.
to stay at the village, to take care of her farm. So she left us with my dad, and so my dad was supposed to take care of us, which he did. But now my dad loved people, so he would bring in relatives at home like all the time. But unfortunately, he would bring in male relatives, and we would sleep in the same house. And I remember there was this one particular one, the very first one that came, and he sexually abused me, and I never talked about it, but he didn't stay for long. He stayed for about, I think 2 to 3 months, then he left.
How old were you?
I was in class 2.
Yeah.
And then when I was in class 3, he brought in another relative now, a very close one. And at that time, the relative was a pastor then, and he continued with the sexual abuse.
A pastor?
So yeah, he continued with the sexual abuse. And I remember I used to tell him, he used to tell me that if you happen to talk about this to anyone, oh my God, the kind of prayers I'm going to pray, your life will be miserable. So I wouldn't talk about it. And you can imagine the sexual abuse went on from class 3 all through class 8. And there's a time when I was in class 6 now, I was tired, and now I was like, I'm not able to tell my dad this. You see, I'm the firstborn. I'm not even able to tell my sister. Then I told myself, I think I'd rather die. So I went and took some Puritans, okay, with my mind as a baby that time.
You were in standard 8?
Yeah, I was in class 6 that time.
Oh, 6?
Yeah, class
Okay.
6 now. I took Puritans, like a whole carton. Was it a carton? No, a jerry can. I took Puritans. Oh my God. And after taking them, I went and slept. So when I was sleeping, I heard my dad calling, like, Nancy, Nancy. And I'm like, Nancy. And then I saw myself coming out of me. Like, I saw myself coming out of me. And I went and stood next to my dad. And my dad is still calling. And now I'm wondering, Kwani, this guy is not seeing me. Then I was calling him and telling him, Dad, I'm here. But now my dad was not listening. And then I felt those danger because I looked and I saw Nancy sleeping on the bed. So I started calling out, Dad, Dad, Nancy, Nancy. So my dad rushed out of the house and went outside the window to call me, and I followed him.
So wait, so your spirit left your body? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, my spirit left my body and I could see it. So outside the window again, my dad was calling and I'm also calling, and I'm seeing myself lying on that bed. And remember, I'm still a young girl. I've never experienced such kind of a thing. I was not even born again at that time, so I was not understanding anything. But I called Nancy until I woke up. And when I woke up, I found my dad now already in the bedroom, and he was so furious. Like, how can you even sleep during the day? And now I wanted to explain to him, Dad, this is what has been happening. But now he was not giving me the chance to talk. And then I shut up again. So the sexual abuse went on until I completed class 8.
So hold on. So how many siblings are you?
4.
You're 4. Firstborn?
Yeah.
So you definitely couldn't tell the younger ones?
No.
No, because the pastor kept intimidating you with, praying evil prayers towards you and your life. And your mom was in the village. Were you visiting her?
No, she would come, but at that time she never came. she didn't come like all through.
Okay, and you still couldn't tell her
I couldn't tell her, but we talk on phone, but I couldn't tell her.
because of the fear that had been plugged into
I
you.
was also afraid if my dad would find out,
Yeah.
he would. I was afraid of how he would react, and then I was also afraid of the things that they would do to me. Like, you know, we are lawyers, and that is incest. So I was afraid what they would do to me. So I didn't want to talk about it.
Then you went to high school, and what happened there?
Now, when I went to high school, another problem began. I started bedwetting, and it was so bad. I started bedwetting from Form 1 to Form 4 because of what was happening to me back then. And, you know, the other students would laugh at me, but they wouldn't understand what was going on. But I was okay because now no one was sexually molesting me. So me, I was fine. In fact, I was so okay. They don't know my home. They don't know me. We just meet in school and that's it. So that is the kind of problem I went through in high school.
For 4 years?
For 4 years.
Okay.
And not just in high school, even in one of my marriages.
Okay, one
Yeah.
of your marriages, so we'll get there. So still all along through high school, there was still nobody you could talk to?
No.
You didn't trust anyone enough, deep enough to share with them what you had been through?
No.
Yeah.
No.
So Form 4, you left. What were your dreams? You know, young girl?
When I was in high school, okay, when I was in primary, I wanted to be a journalist. And I still went on with that dream in high school.
Oh, nice.
I really wanted to be a journalist. So
Yeah.
in high school, I used to do news for
Nice.
in the parade. I was trying to grow what I wanted to be, yeah. But now after high school, it didn't work out. Of course, I passed, but now I got pregnant immediately after high school.
Okay.
You see, I had gotten a boyfriend when I was in Form 2 who was very patient with me. We had never slept together. Now after Form 4, he comes and tells me, my friend, what kind of a man does that?
So hold on. Were you in a day school?
No.
Were you
Boarding.
in a boarding?
Yeah.
Was it mixed?
No.
So did you get a boyfriend?
But we have holidays. I got one myself during the holidays.
Okay. Okay, and you still did not tell him the secret?
I never told him the secret. But now, after high school, he was like, I've been very patient with you, Nancy. If you don't give me this thing, I'm breaking up with you.
My God.
And I didn't want to lose this guy, so I went.
Oh.
And that is how I got pregnant. So after I got pregnant, of course, the guy denied it. And he denied it for good. And I took care of my pregnancy myself with my mama at the village. So at this time, I still don't want to go back to Nairobi because I'm still afraid I might find another uncle there. Oh my God, I'm shaking. Please, I'm shaking.
It's okay.
I don't know.
It's okay.
Okay, so
Here.
why am I even crying?
It's okay.
I'm strong.
Yeah, it's fine. It's okay.
Hey, Nancy, you cannot cry.
It is
You
well.
are strong enough for this.
It is part of the process, eh? Yeah. So after high school, you choose to go stay with your mom in the village.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So that is when I got pregnant.
Yeah.
And because I'd passed so well, my dad was so disappointed.
Oh, because you passed?
Yeah, he was disappointed because now I'm pregnant. I'd passed so well.
Ah,
He had high
okay.
hopes on me.
Yeah.
You see.
Yeah.
So he didn't come to the village. So he abandoned me and my mom in the village. So I raised my pregnancy very well. And when I was 8 months pregnant, I called the guy again and asked him if he still wanted
To be a part of the
Yeah.
baby's life, yeah.
Yeah, but now instead of him picking, a woman picked, and she told me to stay away from the husband. Hey,
Oh.
and I'm like, husband? I mean, how? And then she tells me, in fact, we have 2 kids together. Please stay away from my husband. And that is how I found out that the guy was actually married.
How old was he when you met him while you were
He
in
was
Form 2?
25.
He was 25. Okay.
He was 25. So after that, after I delivered, I left my baby at home with my mama.
Right.
When he was 6 months. 6 months older. And I told my mom, I'm going back to Nairobi and I'm going to plead mercies from my dad so that he can take me back to school. And if he cannot take me to school, then I'll look for something to do so that I can help you take care of my son.
Wow.
So my mom was like, okay, you can go. So I went back to Nairobi, pleaded mercy with my dad. He forgave me. And then I decided now to look for a job to do.
Right.
And I got a job to do. So when I got that job again, I don't know, I was still naive. So I found myself in a group of male friends, like male friends. Majority of them were male.
What job was it?
It was just a casual job at the airport.
Okay.
Very casual.
Okay.
So one of the guys came and told us that the mother was very sick and he wanted us to go home and visit the mother. And I was like, oh, that's a good idea. So I asked him, so what if we wait until end month and then when we get some cash, at least we do some shopping for mom, we go and see her. And he was like, no, it's well taken care of. I just need your presence.
This is not just you,
All of
you.
us,
Okay.
yeah, all of us. And I was like, okay, we can go. Hey, and on that day, we were now to go. But now when I arrived where we were supposed to meet, I was the only one present with him. And I'm like, where are the rest? And he's like, they gave excuses. They disappointed. It's just me. And I'm like, okay, let's go. We don't want to waste any time.
Yeah.
And I asked him, are we able to go and come back the same day?
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, we can. And I was like, fine, let's go. So we went. We went and we went and we went. Oh my God, we got there at 10 p.m.
Where?
Okay, let me say it's near the border of Kenya and Tanzania, somewhere there. And when I got there, no one was sick. Actually, the mother who was supposed to be sick was very jovial. And in fact, they were really expecting me. The guy was bringing a wife. And this guy is just my friend. In fact, I have never imagined in my life he can be a boyfriend, not to mention a husband. But here I am. They are telling me, you are officially the wife. And my queue, when I was coming from Nairobi, I only had 50 shillings in my handbag. And I'm thinking, if I start causing drama here, my friend, this guy will disappear. And how would I go back there?
Right.
So I tried, I called my mom. And I explained it to her. That was after, in the morning now, I had woken up and the guy was already gone.
Huh?
He had disappeared.
The one who took you to the border of Kenya TZ was not there?
He was not there. He'd already come back to Nairobi.
And he left you there?
He left me sleeping. So I went and asked his mom, and she told me, no, the guy has gone, and as a wife, you cannot just come and go. You have to stay here so that we teach you our tradition and everything. And I checked my handbag. The 50 shillings was gone. So I was left with nothing. So I called my mom and I explained to her. Luckily, she understood. And she told me, Nancy, you cannot go back to Nairobi. I don't have any money to send you. So you have to stay there, act as if you agree with those people. When they start sending you to the market, giving you some cash, you save your money and come back here. And I did that. I did that for almost 2 months. Almost 2 months, saving for 2,000 Kenyan shillings. So when I got it, I called my mom like today and I told her, Mom, I finally found the transport. Tomorrow, I'm coming back home. Later that evening, I collapsed. And I was taken to the hospital and confirmed pregnant.
How? But the guy had come back to Nairobi?
But we had slept together before he came back to Nairobi.
The first night you landed there?
Yes. I slept with him that same night.
But how do you sleep with somebody who's not even your boyfriend?
What was I supposed to do? I was 20.
Did he force you?
No. He did not force me. Yes. I was just a young girl who didn't care about anything.
Okay.
So I just switched off my phone because now I didn't know what to tell my mom. I mean, how was I going to explain that? Okay. So
what did you decide to do?
I kept quiet for 3 days and then I called her and I told her I'm pregnant. And she told me, you're pregnant again. That is your marriage. Work your marriage. I'm like, Mom, I don't have this guy. It was just one time. No. And she's like, work your marriage. Where do you even think you're coming pregnant? And I have your son here. I cannot take care of you and take care of your child at the same time, another child. So I had to stay there, but in my mind I was still thinking of running away because I was still like, this guy, I don't love him.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just like a friend. I mean, I can't see him as a husband. And I was also like, I'm too young. I'm not even ready for marriage. I was not thinking of marriage. It just happened. But now I'm pregnant. I was like, I had to cooperate.
Wow.
So I stayed with them until again I was 8 months pregnant. And imagine this all time I've not talked to my dad and explained myself to him. But now when I'm again 8 months pregnant, I fall sick. So sick that they used to wash me, and now they decide to look for my dad.
So wait, so did the guy know? When
I'm
did you tell him?
pregnant.
Yeah.
But of course his mother told him.
Oh, his mother. But
Yeah,
did he come to
we never
visit you
used
when
to.
he heard it? No. You were just with his mom? Okay.
I was just with their mother.
Uh-huh.
So when I was 8 months pregnant and sick, he came. I think he thought I was going to die. So he came and they called my dad. And my dad was like, I want my daughter to come back the way she is. Just put her in a vehicle and let her come back to me the way she is. And I'm like, the way I am, I'm not even able to wash myself. So I talked to my dad and I told my dad, Dad, I'm sorry. I know I've messed up big time. I'm sorry. Please just let me deliver, then I'll come. And I was like, okay. Then after I talked to him, 2 weeks later, I delivered. So after I delivered, I called my mom and I told her, Mom, no, I want to run away again. I don't want to stay here. And my mom was like, you cannot run away. You just ask your relatives, your in-laws, my in-laws, to come and bring you home officially. And I did. And they brought me home. And they carried nothing for my parents, like nothing apart from a bunch of a banana, a very big one, for my mom. And you know, my dad is not around. So my dad is thinking, these people came home with shopping, with money, and me and my mom squandered it because he was not around. I'm sure he knew about it during one of my interviews somewhere. That is when he found out the truth. But that is what he knew all along, that we squandered all the dowry payments and everything. In real sense, nothing was brought home. So after that, my mom asked me to go back to that home and now start cooking in my own house now as a wife. And that is when now trouble began beating me. That mother-in-law then decided not to give me any food. And that time my baby was 2 months old. Life was tough. I remember I used to go in a shamba that was planted watermelons, and I would eat those watermelons so that at least I get some milk for the baby to suck. And when it got so tough, I decided to run away with my baby. I don't know where I got the money. I really don't know. I remember I just went and borrowed my husband's number because I even didn't have it. I borrowed his number from someone, and the next day I just disappeared. I escaped from that place. And when I reached to Nairobi, I was like, now, do I go to my dad's house or do I go to this guy?
Yeah.
Okay, I do not know where this guy stays in Nairobi. So I called him and I told him, hey, I'm in Nairobi. Tell me where you stay or I'll go back home. And because he doesn't want me to go back home, he told me where he stays and I went. Reaching there, I was like, oh my God, I wish I had remained where I'm coming from.
Why?
This guy, okay, it's not that Amabati house is bad, but this one was messed up. It was a very small, congested, dirty Mabati house full of the smell of bang and everything. And I'm like, you even never told me you smoke bang. And it's like, I just started. I've not been doing it. And I'm thinking I have to stay here with my baby in this house. But I was like, it's okay. At least now I have a husband. We can reason together. At least we are together. Catherine, I stayed there for almost 2 years, trying to change a man. He never changed. And after 2 years, I was done, and I told him, I am going back to my father's house, and I will apologize again. And I carried my baby, and I went back to my dad's house.
So what was happening in those 2 years?
Life was tough. I would tell him to go and visit my dad, at least just talk to him, because that's what my dad wanted. But he was not comfortable. He would say, I don't have money. Your dad is going to look down upon me and stuff like that. He didn't want to work. He was just lazy. I was doing all the work. He was doing all the drinking, you know. So I got tired of all that and I decided to leave. And I was also afraid of my dad talking, because he would call and tell me, Nancy, you'll never have peace in that marriage. So to me, that was a curse. And I was so afraid of that. So I went back to my dad again. And I apologized. And I told Dad, Dad, this time around, I will not disappoint you. Please, for the last time, forgive me.
Yeah.
And my dad forgave me again. He forgave me again. And he told me, in fact, I want to take you to driving school and computer classes so that your mind is very occupied. You don't think about men again. And I was like, Dad, thank you.
Yeah.
I will make sure I don't think of a man again.
Yeah.
3 weeks. 3 weeks in computer classes. I realized I'm pregnant. I had actually walked out of that marriage pregnant. And now I'm thinking, oh, Jesus, now who do I tell this? How do I even, okay, do I tell my sister? How? Do I tell my mom? How? Who do I tell? So I decided to now hide the pregnancy until I complete now the courses.
Yeah.
Hey, but can you hide pregnancy? So my mom noticed and she asked me, Nancy, are you pregnant?
Your mom now had come back to
Yeah,
Nairobi?
she'd come back to visit with my son. And remember, now I have a daughter. I have a daughter, and now I found out I'm pregnant again. And then she asked me, Nancy, are you pregnant? And I'm like, yes. She fainted.
Your mom fainted?
And she was taken to the hospital. She was admitted for pressure. I remember when I went to see her, she told me, Nancy, I don't know what you're going to do, but when I come in that house, I don't want to get you there. I don't know where you will go. I don't know what you'll do, but I don't want to find you in that house. And I'm like, what? Okay, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? So in my mind, I was thinking I'd look for a house, a big estate. Then I'd look for a house to work in as a servant, and then try and save some money. And then I find myself a house, like the Mabati house that I'd run away from. Then one day, I think the next day now, I was going for clinic. I'd started my clinic. I was 6 months.
So you left home?
No, I was still at home.
Okay.
But I tried so much to hide the pregnancy. Yes. So I was just looking big and dressing in big clothes so that my dad would not notice. So now when I was coming from clinic, I met a guy. And this guy was like, hey, why are you walking? Like, you don't have transport? Why are you walking alone? And I started crying. And he was like, why are you crying? Then I told him my story. I told him everything that I've said until there.
Yeah.
Then he was like, hey, that's sad. So what are you going to do? And I'm like, I don't know. Then he told me, you see, I also had a wife and she did this and that. Don't you think we can stay together? And I'm like, eh? Like right away. Like right away. You want me to marry you? Like you would marry me yesterday. I'm very ready. You know me, I just want to run away from that house before my mom comes. So I don't care what kind of a person this man is.
Yeah.
So long as he can take me out of my father's house.
So okay. You said yes?
I said yes. Then he told me, okay, tomorrow I was planning to travel home. Then when I come back, I'll come and get you.
Okay, so pause there. We take a short break. Don't forget that point.
Okay.
We will be coming back after this commercial break. We get to know how Nancy's life panned out with now this young man that he met when story. I am Catherine Mwangi. This is part 2 of a conversation we're having with Miss Nancy Kolomani. We have established so far, just in case you're joining us now, that she was sexually abused by 2 men between the ages of 6 and 13. One of them was a pastor. We've also established that she got pregnant right after high school, and then a few years later she got pregnant again, and when she was leaving that home, she had to leave after 2 years because life was difficult, and she tried to change a man, which, you know, we all know nobody can, but she was young and she didn't know that. And now we're at the point where when she was going to the clinic for her 3rd child, she met another man on her way back home, and this man wanted to marry her. So you said yes, because you wanted to leave your father's house because you didn't want to disappoint him with a 3rd pregnancy. And so what happened the following day?
Not the following day.
The same day?
I told this guy, you're marrying me now, then you're traveling to your home tomorrow. Yes.
Sorry, say that again. You're
marrying
marrying
me
right there on the road? Or what do you mean now?
Like now, I go home, pick my bags, I get married.
Same day?
Yes.
You live with him?
Yes.
Wow.
So I don't know for how many hours we actually dated. So we dated for hours actually. So the next day I was already a wife.
Where'd you move to? Was it far from your father's house?
It was far, but not very far.
Okay, so within Nairobi?
Yeah, within Nairobi
okay.
Still. So this guy took me to another Mabati house, but now this one was much better because it was bigger, it was cleaner, you know, but very empty. We used to sleep on boxes, but it was okay because I was away from my father's house. At least he's not seen me pregnant again.
Did you tell anybody from your family where you were going?
No.
You just picked your
I
bags?
told my mom I got a friend of mine and she's willing to host me. So my mom knew I was going to stay with a lady friend of mine.
Yeah.
And so I left. And this man was very hardworking, by the way. So it didn't take time. We bought a mattress. At least we bought a mattress and some utensils. And I was like, this one is hardworking. We can go places together.
Okay.
8 months pregnant again. The guy remembers that he has a girlfriend somewhere or an ex-wife. I don't know who that was. So in the middle of the night at around 2, he comes home with his ex-wife, very drunk. And then they come in the house and they push me at the corner. We were sleeping down. They push me at the corner and they told me, move aside, you want to sleep here. And they sleep right there and do their thing right there. And I'm thinking, what is this? What? So I woke up and I went out. And I started walking, not knowing even where I was going. I just wanted to go away and leave them there.
In the middle of the night?
In the middle of the night. And I'm heavily pregnant. So during my walking, I landed myself in a church.
Okay.
A church gate. So I knocked on the church and the watchman came out and he was like, what is wrong with you? What are you doing in church right now? And I'm like, I just want a place to sleep. So he didn't ask me much questions. It's like he thought I was just away from my house or something. So he allowed me to come in and I slept in his place. He slept at the gate. So in the morning I was woken up by the instruments, the church instruments. I'm like, oh, so it's even on a Sunday. Let me just go in the church, pass some time there, and then I'll go back in the house. Those guys will have already left. So I went in church. And the service went on, but I was not there. Like, I was just there physically, but my mind was not there. So the lady pastor noticed me and she came and now she was trying to tell me about Jesus and stuff. And I was telling her, please, if you want me never to step in this church again, don't ever tell me things about salvation. Don't ever mention, where has that Jesus been? Where am I going to take all these children? If I accept him right now, where am I going to take the children? Will he take them? So I was so bitter and she understood. She just gave me her number and I left. So when I left, I went back to the house and that guy was already gone. But I was left with the neighbors. They had everything. It was a Mabati house. And everyone was laughing at me and mocking me. And because of the shame, now that guy, we decided now to move into a single stone Stone house. Stone house. Hallelujah. That was progress. We are no longer in a mabati house. That was progress. To me, it was progress. Hey, so we moved in this house. And this guy started beating me. My goodness. I am 8 months pregnant. And I don't know what happened during that time. 8 months pregnancy. That's when I used to face a lot of things. So he would beat me thoroughly. And I remember there's one day he was beating me and telling me, you know, even if you start going into labor right now, I don't know how to help you. I don't have any money. And you know me, I would not question him because this pregnancy does not belong to him. If I question him and he tells me, go. In fact, even the incident with that woman, I never questioned.
Right.
I kept quiet because I was afraid. If I ask him and then he tells me, go, where will I go? So I kept quiet. So he would beat me. That day he was beating me. And he's telling me, if you start labor right now, I don't know what to do to you. I don't know what we'll do. And I'm already in labor. No, he's telling me that and I'm in labor. So he noticed I'm in labor and he's like, yeah, okay, wake up, we go and find a place for you to deliver. But just know I don't have money. So we walked around, and we didn't find anyone. That time, you would not deliver without an NHIF card, without cash, or without Linda Mama. It was not even there. Linda Mama was not there. NHIF, we didn't even have it. We didn't have money.
Right.
So we didn't find a place, and I told him, you remember I told you I have kids, eh? And even the eldest, I delivered from home. So if we can't find a way, just take me back home. I'll deliver from the house. And he was like, what? And you've been putting pressure on me to look for a place when you know you can deliver from the house. Let us go, you deliver from the house. And I went in that house, and in my heart, I was like, God, you know, I cannot deliver myself. But at this point, if I have to, just give me the strength. So we went in the house, and I remembered just next to me, there was a clinic. And I went and told that lady, Mom, I'm in labor and I don't have money. How will you help me? And then she told me, you're in labor. Okay, fine. Let me help you deliver and then we'll talk about money later. Hey, and that is how I delivered. So I delivered at 11 p.m. that day. And at 2, actually at 1, I was already in my house doing chores. I did not have a single jerry can of water. And in that plot, we used to fetch water in a borehole using some jerry cans. So I took all my jerry cans outside and I fetched water and carried them myself, 20 liters, 3 hours after delivery.
Where was the man?
Drinking. In my house. And I cleaned my house and I went and I sat on a seat and I started thinking of myself when I delivered my firstborn, how my mom would take care of me, how she was like, don't touch that, don't do this. And I'm like, I've done all this, am I not going to die? But I never died. Neither did I fall sick. So we moved from that house to another bed-sitter, progress. And I'm like, in as much as this man is beating me, at least there's just progress. Eh? We moved from that, we went to one bedroom, and I'm like, hey, this man has progress. And now he started cheating. Hi, this man would cheat with anything in a skirt. And anytime I ask, I would get a thorough beating, like I was his baby. And I remember there's a time he beat me in a certain cloth I was wearing. And I told myself, next time this man beats me in this kind of a dress, oh God, let it be a sign that this is not my marriage. I decided to take my kids back home and now focus on God. I just decided now, if men can disappoint me this much, let me just focus on God, because now I was so afraid of getting pregnant again. And my kids went home.
Home to who, Mom or
To
Dad?
my dad.
Okay.
In fact, that day I took my kids home. I told my kids, you know what we're going to do? I'm taking you back to your grandfather. And this time around, you'll help me plead for mercies. So I made them kneel down before my dad, not knowing what they were kneeling for. But so long as my dad forgave us, which he did. He did. And I saw the disappointment in his face. Like, he was like, this one will still come back pregnant. Like, the disappointment in his face. I know I'm my dad's favorite, by the way. That one I know for sure. But I felt I had disappointed my dad so badly that I didn't know how to make it up for him. I did not know. But I was grateful that he took in my kids. And I told myself, this time around, I will not disappoint my dad again.
So where'd you go?
I went back to the house I was living in. And now I decided not to focus on God. And after now 2 years, I got born again. I went into Bible school. I finished my Bible school. I now decided to do theology.
Who was paying for all that?
My church.
Okay.
My bishop was paying for all that at that time. I am still pursuing my degree course in theology. By the grace of God, I'll be graduating in November. So after that, now I decided now I want to get married the right way. And I got the guy I wanted. And we got married. Now, after 2 years in marriage, I'm like, now finally God has come through for me. I want to get pregnant. I want another baby. You know, I've forgotten how to take care of my kids because my last born then was 8 years old. So I'm like, it's like I've never given birth. I want a child now. Now, when I want a child, it becomes a prayer point. When I don't want, boom, the baby comes. And I was like, it's okay, let me pray about it.
So by this time you have 3 children, right?
By that time I had 3, but I still had one who is adopted.
Okay,
Our story
okay.
is different. So I had 4 kids at that time. So I'm thinking,
You wanted a
I
child
want
and
a
it was
child
hard.
now, and it was hard. So I prayed over it, and I told God, God, if you give me a girl child, I'll make sure this child serves you for the rest of her life. And God gave me a child. I got pregnant. And when I was 5 weeks pregnant, I'm starting my clinic like right now. And my husband is like, are you crazy? 5 weeks? There's nothing in there yet. Wait until at least you're 5 months, 6. And I'm like, right now, I suspect I'm pregnant. I am not pregnant for the first time. I know the symptoms of pregnancy. Please, let me go. And he told me go. So I went there, and I went with my eldest child. Actually, she's my adopted daughter. So I went with her. That time she was in class 6, class 7. Yeah, I went with her to start my clinic. Hey. So when we got there, I was tested, and I was kept pending. Everyone else was coming and going. Everyone else coming and going. Me, I'm still there. So I went and told his daughter, so I've been sitting here for long. What is happening? And then she's like, in fact, I was coming for you.
Yeah.
Just come and sit. And she told me, all these other tests we've done are okay, but there's a problem with the one for HIV. And I'm like, problem? Fix it. Are you not the doctor? If it's a problem and there's only one problem, fix it. And she's like looking at me like, the test is reactive. And I said, so? I was still not getting it. Then the way she looked at me, I was like, niko na ukimwi?
So you asked directly?
Yes.
And she said?
And she said, no, you can always go and do a confirmatory test and like that. And I'm like, I don't know what I told her. I just stood up and I went out.
Okay.
She followed me with her card. And I took the card. And now, you see, I'm trying to look so strong for my daughter. I don't want her to find out anything. But now, when we were going back home, in the middle of the road, I'm like, I just want to cry. No, I just want to cry. And then I'm like, Nora, I want to hug you. Please, let me just hug you. And she's like, hug too, mom. Hug. Then I hugged her. Then I burst in the middle of the road. And I remember there were boys playing football this side, and this other side is a police station. So I'm sure they were thinking, after crying, we are going in the police station. So my girl was like, Mom, what is it? Why are you crying? The baby is okay. Why are you crying? And I'm like, the doctor has told me I'm HIV positive. She's like, Mom, is that the reason why you're crying? And I'm like, what is wrong with this one? I told her, daktari amesema niko na ukimwi. Then she's like, Mom, that is not a reason for you to cry. Even in our school, there are girls who are born with it and they don't cry. Why are you crying? I wept my tears and I felt stupid. I was like, really? They were born with it? You study with them? Yes. And I felt encouraged. So when I went back home, I was like, my husband, this man, go get it from me. How dare he? I mean, I've been married for 3 years. I have not been sleeping around. 2 years. He can infect me with HIV and not tell me. But when my husband went and got tested, he turned negative.
Yeah.
And now I'm here, and at this time I'm already a pastor even. I'm like, now what do I tell people? Where do I start? How did I get infected? And then I start thinking, I started thinking of my past. And I thank God, because before I got involved with my husband, I told him everything about me, like A to Z. I told him, I never hid anything from him, including the adopted girl. I told her, and I told him, if you accept me right now, just know these are all my children.
Yeah.
All of them, including this one that is not biologically mine. So
Yeah.
he knew everything. And I think because he knew everything, he didn't ask so much questions. He already knew where the virus came from.
Oh, did you also know?
Who?
Did you know how you got infected?
After he turned negative, I knew how
You figured out.
I
Okay.
figured out
Okay.
how I got infected. So the doctor told me, my doctor told me then, my nurse told me then that I should not tell him my status until I delivered, because he might decide to walk out. And I asked her, so I have to hide these ARVs, these bottles. If you have ever seen them, they are in a bottle and they make a lot of noise. They do like this. That is what they do. There are so many and big. And I was like, so I have to carry this thing and hide it for 9 months and not tell my husband and take it at the same time every day. How do you expect me to do that? I will tell him I've been left severally. So even if he goes, life would still go on. I will still run back to my dad, even if it means lying down on the floor, rolling, so long as he accepts my apology, and I will stay in his house.
So your husband accepted you?
He accepted.
Yes.
But it was not easy.
Yes.
Because he's actually the one that pushed me to go public.
Okay. Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah? Why? Why did he feel you needed to go public?
He didn't feel I need to go public, but I felt I needed to help him like address the nation.
What do you mean?
I felt, okay, my husband went through depression. You know, he didn't expect that. In as much as he was trying to be strong, he didn't expect that.
Yeah.
There was that shock. So he tried to let it out on me. Like, he would do stuff that really tortured me that time. And there's this incident that he did the last time before I went public. He demonstrated how my burial was going to look like. He carried a basin on his head and started marching in the living room and telling me, you see, this is how I'll be marching with your coffin when you're finally dead. And I was like, so I'm already buried. And I'm seated here. What is this man going through in his mind? And I was like, why can't you go for counseling? But I didn't want to. Then I realized, okay, I tried talking to him about HIV and how it spread and what I do so that he cannot get infected. But he could not like relate. So
you decided to go public?
I decided to go public, but I told him, my dear, I feel if you are behaving like this towards me, there's obviously someone else behaving the same way towards their spouse because of fear. So I want to go public so that I can educate you and others so that they can know that you can actually stay with someone who is positive and you will not get infected, you know. He was not okay with that at that time, but today he supports me and is okay with it. And in fact, he even tells me, I know I'm the one who pushed you to this because of how I treated you. But I also think it is God who allowed him to behave like that. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here talking about it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be talking about HIV. I wouldn't be fighting for the rights of people living with HIV. I mentioned I'm a mentor mother.
Yes, but before that, so you also got another child with your current husband?
Yeah, I got another child.
Yeah.
I actually got 2 of them who are HIV negative. And my husband has remained to be HIV negative until today.
Yeah. So, Nancy, why did you feel the need to share your story on this program?
Okay, I felt the need to share my story because, you see, most young girls make decisions that end up really messing up their lives. Like, if I was to go back to being the 20-year-old girl I used to be, I don't think I would walk out of my mother's house. Even the day she told me go, I wouldn't have gone. I would have stayed there and apologized a million times. I wouldn't have walked out of my parents' house because I was afraid or something. So I share my story so that it can open the eyes of someone else. They don't make the mistakes I made. I don't want them to make the kind of mistakes I made. I don't want them to go through the kind of pains I went through. You know, there are people who have messed up their lives already terribly, and they're not even able to go back.
Yeah.
They are in main things.
Yeah.
So I share my story with them so that they can know the kind of decisions they make can cost their lives. And I also like sharing my story to encourage people who are also living with HIV like me. I always want to make them know that they are not alone. We are in this together. And HIV is a respecter of no person. I mean, I'm a pastor myself. I'm positive. I also have my own battles with my fellow pastors. But it doesn't mean I don't have faith in God. I still have faith in God. God knows what he's doing in me. I know I'm in a process, and he's dealing with me the best way he can.
Yeah.
And I'm humble enough for that. I don't mind.
Yeah.
So I want to encourage anyone that is HIV positive, regardless of who they are, that there is still life ahead. And HIV does not come in and destroy someone's, God's plans for anyone. I remember today morning I read Jeremiah 29:11, and it was telling me that God has the same plans for me, to prosper me and not to harm me. And that is what he was saying before I even got born again. His word has never changed. Sasa HIV ndo imekuja ati sasa God atachange plans. Sorry for my Kiswahili.
It's okay.
You know, so that one has not changed. So
Yeah.
I share it to encourage everyone, even in the body of Christ.
Yeah.
I know of pastors or bishops who are positive, but
Yeah.
they can't talk about it because of fear.
Yeah.
So I just want them to feel encouraged that they are not alone. We're in this
Yeah.
together, and God can turn any situation. Is he not a miracle worker?
Yeah.
I mean, he can raise the dead. What is HIV?
Yeah.
The only thing here is to make sure that we don't stigmatize people living with HIV.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
So do you feel your wounds are healed? Are you healed, would you say, or is still a process?
Wow, me, I'd say I'm healed. I'm healed. I am healed. I am healed compared to what... Okay, compared to the very first time I talked about my story, I think God has worked so much on me. The pains have gone. I still feel sorry for myself when I talk about it. I'm like, did I even go through that? So I feel sorry for myself, but I don't have bitterness. I'm healed completely. It doesn't hurt me that but then I even don't think about it. I don't think about being HIV positive
Yeah.
until it's time for me to take my medication.
Yeah.
And in fact, even my husband asked me the other day, do you?
Yeah.
Are you still HIV positive? Ama uliponaga? You know, like we live like it's not there. You know, so me, I'm healed, and I thank God for that.
Yeah. And do you feel like you're settled now in a good marital space with your husband?
Yes.
Yeah.
I am settled, and I thank God.
Yeah.
I thank God for my husband. He's my strength right now. He's my number one supporter, because when everyone else talked him out of this marriage, he stood and was like, this is my wife, and I will stay with her no matter what. So I'm in the best marriage, I would say.
Okay. Well, Miss Kolomani, thank you so much for coming on to share your story. You actually have a brilliant sense of humor considering everything you've been through. But I'm glad that you've chosen to just shed light into what happened to you. And somehow just your journey you found your way again. So you didn't die that time, but you came back, still went through hardship, but somehow you've overcome. So we are glad that you came today.
Thank you.
To you watching, should you have any comments, questions, anything you'd wish to share with Nancy, the SMS number 22151 is on your screen. Sending messages is free of charge. So let us know your feedback. And Nancy is on social media, right? How can they find you? Those who need encouragement, those who may be going through what you went through, those who can relate to your story.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, they can find me. You can find me at EDAP Hospital Dawn Home Branch. On social media, you can find me on YouTube, Talk with Evangelist Nancy Kolomani. On TikTok, Evangelist Nancy Kolomani. On Facebook, I have a Facebook page. It's called Don't Bury Me Alive. You can find me there. I can share my number, by the way, if it's okay. 0723442439. And if you're pregnant, living with HIV, please talk to me. Don't walk alone in this journey. I am here for you.
That's beautiful. Thank you. And we say goodbye. Thank you to Gem Suites for granting us this beautiful lounge to tape from. Until next week, do take care of yourselves.
Gem Suites Hotel and Luxury Serviced Apartments currently boasts 2 properties within Kenya. Gem Suites State House Crescent, set in the exclusive State House neighborhood, comprises of 34 well-appointed apartments, and Gem Suites Riverside, set up in a secure, private and tranquil setting in the upscale Riverside neighborhood with 98 luxuriously appointed full-service 1- and 2-bedroom apartments, superior hotel rooms and presidential penthouses.